Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the online Wisetalk Webinar organized by Adore. So first of all, let me give you a quick introduction about Adore. Adore is a global volunteer network of students and young professionals for motivating youth towards positive action. Everyone is a volunteer at Adore. So our guest speaker is Dr. Indu Prakash sir here. So I would like to give his introduction first. Sir is a chairperson, Asha Kiran Complex, Avantika Rohini, member state level shelter monitoring committee set up on orders by the Supreme Court of India, governing board member Kamala Nehru College and Shahid Bhagat Singh College, DU, facilitator City Makers Mission International, President Forum Against Corruption and Threats, FACT. He has received numerous awards like the Excellence Award 2019, Devat Award 2017, Neelkanth Samman Democracy Defender 2018, CNN IBN Citizen Journalist Award 2010, Gold Medal and Junaid Ansari Memorial Gold Medal JMI 1984, Person of the Year, First City Magazine 2003. And there are so many sirs excellence I didn't mention, but I would like you to welcome sir to the Adore, and I would like you to proceed for the session.
Right. Thank you, Pranjal. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me. I think this is the fourth time I'm coming to your, forum, your platform. And I must say that I think, I really enjoy coming here and, talking to friends, and I can see large number of friends here, from, I think, from UK and from Delhi School and, Arnaji. So many friends are here. So thank you, friends, for joining and supporting this conversation that we're going to have today. And, I think before I begin, I will also say that because today we are going to discuss an issue on which, in fact, of course, my work has been for over 40 years, 42 years rather, on women's movement and on homelessness. For the last 22 years of my work has been dedicated to working with the homeless people, those who sleep on the footpaths of Delhi and the cities as such. And so today's discourse is, as you all had asked me to speak on human rights. So the topic for discussion today is human rights in the poor, a look from the lens of homelessness. So as I begin, and I would surely request all the friends who are listening here to please feel free to ask questions, and I'll appreciate that they ask the questions, and Pranjal will be moderating, so you take the questions and all, and ensure that I think if each question is answered as such. So I think just to begin with, when you talk about human rights in the poor, I think somewhere, when we started the work with the homeless in the year 1999, I must say that and began the real action and everything from 2000 onwards, somewhere I personally feel that, for our governments, we speak about Gandhi a lot, we speak about freedom fighters a lot, and Gandhi gave a talisman, and which is there in all the books that children have been learning for last so many years, The talisman is that whenever you plan for something and you're in doubt, so just remember the face of, the last person who will be affected by your plans or whatever, and then all your doubts will melt away. That's what he says. Huh? And the issue really is, until we started the work with the homeless people, those who sleep on the footpaths of Delhi, on the dividers, on the handcarts, in the parks, on the flyover ramparts, near nalas, I think all kinds of places they were sleeping and risking their life, and we already know about people running over them, killing them and all that. It was not an issue when we started the work at all. Nobody was talking about it, Like there were hardly any pest reports coming as such. Nobody bothered about them as, as such. So you just imagine, I'm talking of the year 2000, just 22 years from now, right? Homeless is not the agenda at all. So for us to start working, I can tell you, like there weren't any reports as such. There was one minor study done by one Veronique Dupont, and so that was it. But that was a very, very, I think not in-depth study. It was just, in terms of who the payment dwellers are and all that kind of a thing. Okay. But in-depth analysis, who the people are, from where they are, what the issues are, what needs to be done, interventions, nothing. Not a single. I have also done my, MPhil doctorate and all from, various universities, from JNU and other places. There was not a single research, by the way, on homelessness. Not a single write-up. So which means that, we've had so many policies of the government till then, so many interventions, so many programs, not one for homeless people. I'll give you just one fact that in year 2000, when we started the work, the budget for shelters for the homeless, which was called night shelters, was only 1 crore for the entire country. 1 crore for the entire country. Okay. Due to the work that we have done now is 1,000 crores. Okay. So you can imagine, see the shift. But anyhow, I'll come to what happened. So, it's like how we build our work bit by bit. We went to Mumbai to see, how the work is done with the homeless there. We realized that there's payment dwelling there, and it's a different terrain altogether. So, कहते हैं ना, लौट को बुद्धू घर को आए, तो हम दिल्ली वापस आए. And we said, by as Tagore said, the parts are made by walking. So हम भी फिर चलना शुरू किए, and we said, चलो चलते हैं, रास्ता मिलेगा हमको जो है. So we started programs, a research, and all those things we did. About 11 nights we did in Delhi. So it's I wouldn't go into technicalities of it. When you have questions, I'll answer that. And we came out with a report, and you wouldn't believe, when talking of human rights in the poor, and I'm saying homeless people, were the people, like 95%, more than that we were able to interview, didn't have any identification. No voters card, no ration cards, nothing. So if you have nothing, what do you get from the government? Nothing. Okay. So they're person non grata. So when you don't have a voters card, no politician will ever come to you for asking for votes also. So for us, in fact, like you're talking about human rights, as per the Constitution of India, I have this here, which talks about Article 14, 19, 14, 15, 19, 21, and then the preamble we have, right? All that is there. Yet, despite being there, I think until started the work in 2000, there was no talk about it. And gradually, in fact, for us, maximum that the police addressed them was chor, uchakka, kangala, all that. These are the terms that were used for homeless people. So if you can't define a person, you abuse them, you stigmatize them, because to build a relationship, you need some investment. Now, these are the people whom nobody bothered about, no, the society was not bothered about, government is not bothered about, politicians not bothered about. So hence, human rights were there on paper. The various Supreme Court orders, even then it was there. We had UDHI, Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 of the United Nations. We had Constitution of India of 1950. We had various conventions, covenants, declarations of UN, various High Court Supreme orders, but nothing on the ground for the homeless people. Okay. So somewhere I think the question really arises is that, do the civil society organizations or voluntary organizations have to really take on this work? Was the government sleeping all this while, that they didn't realize who these people are? Why are they on the streets of Delhi? And it took many of us, some of us, to work on this issue, for the government to realize, for the media to realize, oh, there's one huge chunk of people who are not even addressed by any of the schemes of the government. Okay. So the thing is, why is it, that we do not address where the problem is? That we are always, who raises the voice, government attends to them. So the rich are raising the voice, the government looks for them, looks at them. All the privileges and everything will be there. RWS clamor for rights and all, so government will provide them gates and security and everything. Okay, police will take care of them. And these people, so the government response has been that, one, you invisibilize them, that they're invisible, that nobody knows them. Okay. Second is, that you institutionalize them, That is, we call them beggars and put them into beggars' jails. Okay, so they are out of the knowledge of people also. And there's already bomb prevention begging Act 1959. Thankfully, it has been outlawed now in Delhi as such, but in many states it's still applicable. The vagrancy laws, that's called. And the third is that you ignore them. On top of it, you dehumanize them, you stigmatize them, and then you arrogate every right from them, which is the arrogant response of the bureaucracy as such. So in a way, despite the fact that all the laws were there in the country, why did it take 2000 as such, year 2000, for India to know that there are homeless people from where they are, from UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, other places they are there, and they are all there due to distress migration. They're not here. Like, the normal myth would be, oh, people go to Bombay for joining film industry. Not everybody is going to Bombay for film industry. Not people. The earlier, before Mumbai came in, people were going to Kolkata, right? Because Kolkata was that time, during the 40s, 50s, 60s, Bimal Roy's films and all, Do Bigha Zameen and all, was showing migration to, Kolkata and those places. So cities have been hub for people to come from different places, not due to glitter of city, not due to the glimmer of city. It's because that the places where they were staying was actually not worth staying. They made hell of the rural areas. The government came up with slogans like cities as engines of economic growth, cities as engines of rural development. So when you develop cities, you ignore rural areas. If the rural areas are good, if Gandhi's Hind Swaraj that he wrote about text in the 1900s initially, if that was the reality, why would people come to cities as such? Like, we talk about some 6 lakh villages of India. If the villages were all throbbing, where would people come to cities? Why should anybody come to cities? I don't belong to a city. I'm from a rural area in Uttar Pradesh. My father was in the Air Force, so we traveled to various places in the country and finally postgraduated and did everything from Delhi. And so now we are the rightful residents of Delhi. But the people who migrate due to economic reasons, they are outsiders. They are migrants. They've got no right. They are homeless on the streets. So this divide which is there, which I call Pranjal, is that divide between, I think earlier talks also have mentioned, that is the India and in fact, this, is my 5th book called City Makers, right? Now, in this book, I have meant there's a chapter called India versus non-India. It's a capital INDIA, and versus non-India is all lowercase. So to be very clear, when we talk about human rights, we talk about laws, we talk about benefits and privileges and schemes and all that, it is only applicable in the capital INDIA, India. Non-India is totally bereft of it. It's totally deficit as such, hasn't got it. And our tribals, our Dalits, our Muslims, our minorities, our women, our children, disabled, mentally ill, elderly, they all live in non-India. They're persons non grata. That's why I think everything is working very well in India, but in non-India, things are crumbling, So if this divide is clear in our heads, that what are we talking about? That there is affluence, there is economic growth, there is affluence, there is prosperity, but in INDIA, India, large chunks of people are not benefited by it at all. That's the reason why there's data showing, that 1% of the population owns about 50% resources of the country. Earlier it was 10%. Now, so in a way, what's happening is the prosperity is getting privatized, right? And poverty is getting publicized. There is more public getting poor and the rich getting fewer. Okay, so which I think P. Sainath talks about in these terms. Well-known journalist, Marxist award winner, talks about that publicizing and privatizing of richness and all that. So I'm trying to just bring that debate also here. So in a way, just you can imagine the terms that we used for them like censors used to call them houseless. We started calling them homeless people, then homeless friends, homeless residents. And it took us about 10 years to come to this term called city makers. It didn't come like that. I work with the homeless people for last, and it's been of course 22 years. So in 2010, this term occurred to us that, oh, actually they have made the city with certain labor and they have every right to the city, which means all the articles 14, 15, 19, 21 belongs to them also, that they can also move anywhere in the country. They can also go and eke out living as such, and right to life also belongs to them, right? So in a way, I would say, that I think for us, when we started the work, we started with a strong conviction that they have inherent human rights. And this is what the Constitution of India says, that every citizen of this country has got rights. Constitution of India applies to them. And gradually we built on to our interventions, and we came down to also getting them voters cards. A most difficult thing. You suppose when you give 10,000 applications, about 100 would get the voters cards. Can you believe it? So what you imagine, 10,000 efforts we used to make for 100 successful interventions. It's like that. So it was a tall order for us, moving from night shelter to a domain of shelters 24/7 for, not earlier it was shelters, by the way, can you believe it? Delhi, which is the rape capital of India, rape, theft, murder, kidnapping, Delhi tops in that. Delhi had plans of having 21 shelters. In 2000, it had 19 shelters. And by 2001, it got reduced to 10 shelters because they got demolished due to urbanization and metro and all this coming in. And you can just imagine, and there was not a single shelter for women. There was not a single shelter for women. Can you believe it? And we had bureaucrats right from 50 onwards, right? The bureaucrats were there 50 onwards. Till 2000, they didn't realize that there were shelters required for homeless women also. It took us 2 years to get the first women's shelter, near Bangla Sahib Gurudwara and in the YWCA premises. And gradually now, of course, we have the government of Arvind Kejriwal and all, and we have got shelters for men, women, children, disabled people, for pregnant lactating mothers and all. But again, we had High Court support, Supreme Court support and all that came in as such. I'll come to that as well. So somewhere, I think the issue which is important is, that like some of us had to get together to do this, right? Thankfully, we got support of various volunteer organizations as such, because we didn't play, your turf, my turf. We invited people to come and work because we were a handful of people. This work couldn't have been done by 5-6 of us. So large number of organizations also joined us, supported us, added our work also to their plank. We called our friends from the media to write about this. So media came in big way, reporters like Rahul Gupta, Ambika Pandit, so many people, they came and reported on this issue. From winter months, it went to entire year. They started writing about homelessness as such, And today, of course, I think in every place, it's been going on. And just to tell you that, I think the work started because of Action India support that came in as a direct initiative Action Aid. I was the director of the organization called Ashadikar Abhiyan. And so the plan was we start the work in Delhi and then take the work to other parts of other parts of the country as such. And so gradually from Delhi, we moved to Chennai, to Pune, to, Lucknow, to Kolkata, to, Bangalore and Assam, Hyderabad, like that, Tamil Nadu and all that. So I think, so somewhere, I think, it's very important that how we moved from doing simple research, trying to find out who the people are, what are the issues, why are they, homeless. From there, we started interventions, or whether it's health clinics, or whether night vigils, or whatever. And then we built advocacy, and we moved the High Court in 2001, and High Court came in to support, saying that give them 2 shelters to run on a model basis. And then we ran the shelters; they were successful. And then, we got about some 30 shelters to run. And then gradually by, we had filed a PIL in Supreme Court in 2003, like, and Prashant Bhushan, through Prashant Bhushan. And you won't believe, like, see, just, even courts are expensive and it's also time consuming. A petition that we filed in Supreme Court in 2003, it got activated in 2013. It took 10 years to get activated. In the meanwhile, there was another PIL of PUCL through which the homelessness came in the right to feed matter and all that. But by the time 2011-12, that got removed. And thankfully, by 2013, our PIL that we had filed, in which there are homeless people, and I'm also a petitioner, it got activated. And the case is now going on in Supreme Court. Prashant Bhushan and one other advocate, Yer Kumar, and friends like Dr. Amita Joseph and all, they're supporting us, pro bono. Okay. And due to which shelters all across the country is opening up now. There are shelters all across. Go to various cities, there's shelters there, which are running as such, good, bad, whatever. Like Delhi, which I told you, which had only 10 shelters, now has got over over the years, I think until winter months, it has about 195 shelters, of which there are about 80 permanent buildings, and about rest are porta cabins. And during winter months, due to winter conditions and all, we have another 200 to 250 to 300 shelters that come up in pagoda shelters as such. So we have about 400 shelters in Delhi, which is highest anywhere in the world. Okay. So what I'm saying here, and then of course the idea is to have such shelters all across the country, and there are friends, thankfully, this work is not done by me alone, but large number of friends who are active in social sector, in civil society, who have come together to raise this issue and fight and take up this in various other places. So the work is happening in many cities, good, bad, whatever. I think thankfully the efforts are there, and thankfully Supreme Court is monitoring it. I'm many of us also, like Supreme Court set up a state level shelter monitoring committee in 2018. I'm a member of it for Delhi. Plus, I oversee the entire work in the country as well, because I'm also a petitioner, and we file reports on the Supreme Court as well. So I think the moot issue is somewhere, that Gandhi's last person. Here I'm talking about homeless people. Now you add another layer to it, the transgenders as such, okay, the LGBTQI community as such, okay. Now, so each and every community that you bring in who are on the fringes, you realize that they all suffer so much. So we have to bring all them into the mainstream, right? So it's women. When talk about homelessness, I think homeless people, we also have transgenders amongst the homeless people. So the idea is to have specific shelters for them also, to include them as well, because our approach, unfortunately, despite the Constitution of India and everything, has been very exclusionary. It's like until you raise the voice, let's not talk about them. Keep them out only, fine. जब तक आवाज नहीं आती है उनको सुनो मत, आवाज आएगी तब देखेंगे अपना. So give them something, आवाज आ रही है. So like when the lockdown was declared in 2020 and 2021, imagine what happened. People rushing from all parts of the country. Cities came to close, when people were leaving cities, imagine the economy fell, right? And then the politicians were all saying, no, don't go, we'll take care of you in the cities, Why didn't they take care of them before that? Okay. So you can imagine cities, who are running the cities, not the rich, the poor running the cities, yet the poor are persecuted, time and again. So they are informal sector workers living in slums, they have got bad housing or no housing or negligible housing. Many are forced to stay on footpaths. So the idea is that the people who are poor, they have rights. They have human rights, which is enshrined by the Constitution of India, by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I've got this thing, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in which the very first article says, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They're endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in spirit of brotherhood, or you can say sisterhood, right? This is what it says. And by the way, all human beings came about because of the Indian delegation at the UN that moment. Hansa Mehta and all were there. And earlier it was all men are equal, by the way. Even this document is all men. Hansa Mehta and all from India were the ones who said, no men here, put all human beings. right? So India had a very important role to play in the UDHR, but the issue is even till 2000, homeless people were deprived of this. And as we further look into it, even now, despite the orders of Nalsa judgment and all the Supreme Court and all, still, if you go by, I think I've got friends like, Aruna and all listening here. I think there are a large number of transgenders who are still suffering, I think you persecute them, just because a person is of a different orientation, the person doesn't believe into your, gender binary, you start persecuting them. So I think the real issue here is, that we need to appreciate that we have people from different parts of the country. People might divide it in caste, class, religion, whatever. For the country, for the nation, we are all equal, right? And and nothing by the government should divide us. Everything by the government should unite us together. And today, unfortunately, we are seeing that you are playing a communal game. You are being partisan to one religion. I'm a Hindu. I don't like Muslims being persecuted. They are part of this country. Why the hell are you trying to, like this entire CAA and NRC and all that? I was in the UN in 2020 and I said that the CA and NRC and all that is going to make more people homeless in the country. We for the last 20 years have been fighting against homelessness, and here is the government going to create more homeless people in the entire country, right? So the issue is, in India, world over, we have now a war in Ukraine and all that. You're converting more people to homeless people. We are globally, I'm also part of this group called, there's this Institute of Global Homelessness in Chicago. We are talking of ending global homelessness. There's a UN declaration which has come in for the various governments in the country, all across the country, to handle homelessness, to reduce homelessness. And we are finding different governments at war with each other, and different governments in India, like, making people of different religions fight amongst each other. So somewhere, I think we need to understand very clearly that, every person, the child who is born even for 1 hour, has a human right. And the child may be of any gender, man, woman, transgender, has got equal right. And nobody has got the right or the gumption to persecute the person just because of his or her or their orientations, or their stay in a village or a coastal area or a tribal area or a hilly area or whatever. I think we need to have equal opportunities for everybody, in the country as such, and not divide people. So I think in this entire, I would, when I said human rights and the poor, a look from the lens of homelessness, the idea was that, I think we need to, sharpen the lens. We need to bring into focus, people who suffer, and need to see it from an intersectional perspective. That is, every intersection, you're talking of human beings. Put the lens of gender, you see oh my God, women are suffering more. Bring in transgender, you find the transgender suffering more. Then bring in a disabled person, you find, oh gosh, a disabled person in a rural area, all the more suffering. A disabled person, Dalit, so I think as many intersections happen, I think it's further oppressing the concerned person. So somewhere, what is important is, how is it our human rights actually can be, can reach people. Everybody can take benefit out of it, from the Constitution, from the UDHR and other places, and it's also like, somewhere, Pranjal, that I think it's not that the work is ended. We need large number of people. So yours is a group of volunteers. So definitely I will request Adore and groups like that to take up these issues with the youngsters. And I think it's not a question of young and old. The idea is whoever can make a difference. If you're passionate about bringing in change, start with yourself, bring change in yourself, in your attitudes and all, and then move that into society, and bring that into society as such. So somebody has got the microphone on. The request, please keep it off. It's disturbing the group, the meeting as such. Okay. Yeah. So do join the meeting, but just keep the microphones off at the moment, right? Where is it coming from?
Arjun Kumar, sir. Please mute.
Arjun, you please mute Arjun.
Yes, sir. I'm on mute.
Yeah, please mute. Yeah. So I think I'll just stop here. Just saying that we all need to contribute our best. Every person matters, and it's not as only one person can make a difference. I think even a drop in the ocean is important, and we all are drops. Together we make an ocean, and if that one drop which can make a difference doesn't make a difference, it impacts all of us. And for human rights to reach every person, every part of this country and the world, I would say that it requires efforts from all of us. We might be 15 of us, doesn't matter. 16 of us, doesn't matter. The idea is each one of us needs to contribute as such when possible for us, and do our best all the times. I'll just close here, and I'll look for questions from the people, and also maybe they could also contribute from their work. Aruna ji is here, and Rupinder and Rachna, Ashu, Sayed, Vishika works with migrants in Gurgaon and Nasik and all her group. Arjun, Sanidhya. So I think all of you do contribute. I look forward to your questions. So please have your questions. I'll just stop here.
Thank you so much, sir, for all these enlightening things. That was like really knowledgeable, and hope that we can utilize it in our work. I work with a little different kind of people, like they are migrants, forced migrants as well, because of the so-called development thing, which is actually sometimes needed, but not always. Like right now, the Konkan area is getting threatened for the displacement of the tribals, and also like destruction of the greenery and on the coastal area, which is going to threat the entire monsoon season of the country, because it all comes through Maharashtra. But it is like the people I am working with are actually considered as born criminals. Mm-hmm. They are like 198 communities which were part of the Criminal Tribes Act since our independence, till our independence since 1872. And then later on, though the act was repealed, but they are still part of the Habitual Offenders Act, more than 100 tribes. So they are not even counted as homeless. That is like the pathetic reality. Though nobody accepts that they are not, because they are not excluded explicitly. So we cannot argue, but the reality is totally very horrendous, I will say. And I have been part of this criminology and victimology conferences with police department, as the new correctional administration things are going on in Chandigarh and other Bengaluru and Chennai. Three places they are actively looking at, like that is a little different from the police and prison department, and towards like considering who all those are victims of the system as well. But there also these communities are lacking their participation and inclusion. So I don't know how we can actually ensure the human rights for them, because police or other departments, they all come from the same society which discriminates them. They don't even include them as a scheduled caste or even as untouchables. They don't consider them, though I should not use this word because there is nobody untouchable.
Yes.
Even if we go by caste hierarchy, they are not even considered there. So I don't know how to deal with this situation.
Yes. Right. Thank you, Rachna, for raising a very important point. I think I'll take a couple of questions and points and all that are being raised, and I think we'll address it together. Huh? So anybody else wants to go? Thank you, Rachna, for a very important point. Yeah.
Sir, there is a question in the chat box.
Okay, what is it? Tell me.
Okay. So it's by Rupinder Garg, sir. Still,
Right.
we see many people, small children standing near red lights and the main crossing. How they can be supported by any agency or organization under flyover near Lodi colony and many places begging also. I see some shift taking place. They are selling books and other things, but still small children can be seen. Is it not violation of right to education, which is free and compulsory up to 14 years?
Yeah. I think thank you, Rupinderji, for raising the question. I think I try to address both the issues of Rachna and Rupinder. I think very important points. Rachna, see, as I mentioned, you bring in every excluded community, you realize that how intersectionality works at the worst for them, that they're not even counted, they're not even into the schemes of the government, whether it's elderly or widow, whatever pensions that are there, nothing reaches them as such. On top of it, they are into the criminal tribes, So I think they have been, I think so somewhere, because there are groups, Rachna, like Praxis has been working with them, the NT and the DNT groups as such, and trying to, work through their agency. So the youngsters are there, who are being supported to join up schools and colleges and all that, and work in the community as such. So I would say it's still early days, but work is happening. And it's a tall order. So I think we all need to put heads together in terms of how to make it function and how to see to it that the government includes them into their schemes and all, because there is also there are some communities, I wouldn't name them, who are into sex trade as well, so which I think is also very important to look in terms of how do we address it. And Rupinder Bhai, I think to your issue, I think is very important. In fact, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment with Delhi government, Social Welfare Department, they have worked out a program for Bhiksha Nahi Shiksha, and they're trying to rope in children and trying to, because there are many shelters for the homeless people, and through the shelter programs and all that the Delhi government has, they're trying to send them to schools and ensuring that, there are lesser people on near the flyovers or under the flyovers seeking support, seeking arms or whatever. So the idea is as many children can be taken to schools. You're right. I think they've got a right to education until 14. So I think the effort of these organizations is basically that how is it that we can support them through livelihoods and all, train them as painters, as in the hospital sector, as garments and all that, so that they are moved from the begging which they were doing for quite some time. So I think it'll take an effort. I think the government is working on that. The organization supporting the government on that. But I would say that it's the, I think we require a whole society approach. Which is that everybody joins hands in supporting this work as such. It can't be support only of one organization or part of a government. I think we wanted to join hands and see to it that whoever should be taken care of should be taken care of. So having requisite number of shelters for them, having requisite number of housing for them, having the schemes which are there reach them for that matter. The elderly who are there should be having pensions as such. So it's government has plans and everything, but somehow it doesn't reach them. So our effort is that I think we should be working towards making it reach them. So I think they reach the college, they reach the schools. There are times, Rupinder, that there are many children, because they've had no identification. I remember 10 years ago, we had to file affidavits as the NGOs, as the organizations, that they are our children, they're staying in a shelter. And so on that basis of the affidavits, the children are admitted to schools, and then the birth registrations happened. So I think everything takes a lot of effort. Like for a person who has got no identification, to get even the first identification is a huge task. And in the schools also, they'll require Aadhaar cards and various things. Many of them don't have even that, So it's how is it that we can all work towards and making it better? So thankfully, at the moment in Delhi, it's easier for us. But I think the effort is happening other places also, in Lucknow and Mumbai, other places. There are friends working there as well. And everybody's trying their best to do that as such. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
I agree with you, whatever you have said, but that is like all the efforts are working only in the metro cities kind of thing, like not in the small places. I would like to share my experience 2 months back. I called the superintendent of police of Sikar district in Rajasthan.
Rachna, 1 second. Rachna, I think we'll have you. Aruna ji, you want to say something? We'll come back to you. Aruna ji?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just come to you. Aruna ji runs a parents group of transgender children. A first group which is supporting their own transgender children, and she's the mother of a trans person. How she brought up her child, despite the societal norms and all, is very important for us to learn and listen. And she has got more than 1,000 people in the group as such, So thank you, Arunaji, for coming here. Please, you also just share. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Very much audible. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for my introduction. Yes, we have when my child came out, we realized that, many parents, they don't accept their children the way they are. And then we thought, only we can help other parents, to come to terms with their children's sexual orientation and gender identity. And that is the reason, my son came out in 2007, it's been 15 years. I have convinced thousands of parents, to accept their children, because like rightly you said that, transgender children are mainly, they are suffering a lot, they are begging because, because parents are not accepting them, and, they are thrown out of the house. And that means what? They are thrown out of the house just like that, their documents are not there with them. They are not even able to prove what they are,
Yes.
their name and all, if not like, if they have to change the name, because from male to female or female to male, what documents they will provide, the original documents are with parents and they are not giving. So that is the reason, we started this group, so that, we can convince the parents and they will accept their children, and we have now we started with 10 parents, and now we have, like, it's a huge group, and we are happy to see that, parents are, and, especially after 2018, parents, many people, understood about the LGBTQ community, that, it is, children are born naturally like that, so it's not that, one has to understand that who wants to, if they have to choose the life, who wants to choose the difficult life, if it is, so-called easy, no life is easy that way, but at least, you don't have to prove yourself, your sexual orientation or gender identity for heterosexual people, so who, that we convince that way, to parents. So that is what we are doing, and we are happy with that, that parents are now understanding their children.
No, I must congratulate you, Aruna ji, and I must tell the group here that I met Aruna ji and her friends and all in a transgender health conference of 2 days. I was there for 1 day, and I was so overjoyed meeting them. And that's the reason I'm so blessed that Aruna ji, you came here. So it's like, and that's the reason why I was saying that when you are talking of Gandhi's last person, you think of other people who are on the fringes, and whether it's transgender, whether it's NT, whether it's DNT, people on the streets, whatever, homeless, I think it all has a different dimension to it. Until unless we are able to address all this in a totality, in a whole society approach, we will be that much shallow in our approach. So I think somewhere it's very important for all of us to I think contribute. It's not I think, see, there Aruna ji is contributing, we are contributing, Rachna is talking DNT. We are not saying that no, my thing is very important. No, wherever we are, whatever our focus is equally important. I remember one thing very important, like when we started the work with the homeless people, Aruna ji, there was somebody who came and told, Indu ji, you're dividing the poor. I said, how come we're dividing the poor? No. People living in slums are persecuted. They are suffering more than the homeless people. I said, I won't take his name. I said, please, and he's a well-known activist in his 80s now. I said, please, let us not divide the poor people in terms of focus. You're working with slum dwellers. They're precariously housed. They have got a roof over their head. We are working with people who got even no roof over their heads. So you do your work. Let us do our work. And there were times when the slums got burnt, things happened. Then they asked, Indu, we want relief for them and all. We said, yes, we'll get relief for you. Called up Anshu from Gunj and other people. We got supplies for the slums also, So it's like, how is it that we all can collaborate and work together is important, Each work that we are doing with every committee that we are doing is equally important. Like Rupinder is working as a mentor teacher with the Delhi government schools, and they are bringing revolutionary changes, So I think in this small group that we have today, there are people from different walks of life, who are contributing, in their own small ways. So I think we all need to be in touch with each other and know that I think our work is equally important. We are doing amazing work and we should be supporting each other.
I was just thinking, just now when Rachana was talking about
Yes.
anti-tribals and all, when transgenders, when they think when they are actually coming out to their parents, they are living with their parents, they have the shelter, and they are taking that step, of coming out. And after that, maybe they are thrown out and all, But those who are already homeless, they don't have shelter, and if they are from the community, they cannot even think of coming out, to whom and where, how,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how difficult it is, because
Absolutely.
people are from the community from everywhere,
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
can be from
Absolutely.
anywhere, so
Absolutely.
I'm thinking of that,
No, absolutely. I think you're so. I think what you're saying is, I think, so crucial. Like we used to encounter them on the streets and all. And they used to talk about their issues. So we are aware of it. I don't know what you're saying. I think so. It's equally important we address these issues as such. Yeah, Rashna, you're saying something. Please, you can go ahead now.
Yeah, I was just sharing one example from 2 months back. It was like about one Bamaria family, and people in general have the thought that Bamarias are like gangs of people who just spread crime and things. But not all the Bamarias are like that. There are some gangs that can be from any community or caste. This family I have worked with in 2018, when they have been threatened by the entire village and panchayat, you better leave the place, and they were confined. They were not given water from the public taps even, and food from the shops in village, and they were not given paths to cross the village. So they were like totally confined from all the sides. So that time I even filed one application to the State Human Rights Commission, and unfortunately they have responded now 2 months back.
Oh my God.
And that time also they have faced in July, this family again was threatened by the village sarpanch along with the police officers of the tehsil. And what they did was they came up at night, they thrown their shelter houses, like whatever their own shelter they have created for themselves, their tents and all, they have thrown them, and they have took their food stuff and thrown it out in the sand so that they cannot use it anymore. And then there was 8 months pregnant lady, they have kicked her, so she started bleeding heavily. And I called the police officer after a week when the family tried to contact me, even though I am here in UK, but I am still in touch with the community. So I called the superintendent of police, Seeker, and I am still in shock to listen from him that, oh, it's been a week. If there would have been any such situation, it would have been in the newspaper. And because it is not in the newspaper, you may not be saying it correctly, or it may be a fake news. So like, if these poor people who are so much threatened by the police and others, even the society in general, they cannot even approach to any villager, how will they get to know that where is the newspaper office and how to approach them? They were sitting, when I was calling the SP, they were sitting right in front of his office on the lawns. But he did not even take the step to call them in the office, and they went like barehanded that day. Then I had to communicate with some newspaper people, but they did not respond to it. They published news about like me being elected as a student representative here in the UK, first Indian girl in the UK university kind of news, but they don't respond to this kind of crucial news. So that was like ridiculous. Then I finally contacted to Mandeep Punia. He has emerged as a small journalist after this farmers' revolution. He thankfully published it on his website, and that was shared on Seeker SP as a Twitter account, and then the FIR was lost. Can you see the thing?
Yes.
How the system works. Like, they did not even lose the FIR till the time it came into some news, whether or not that is relevant. So that news coming from Chandigarh about Seeker, and then they are taking a step and responding to that.
Absolutely. I think, see, that is where the issue is really, like you find the police also being part of the crime than solving a crime, and that's the biggest threat to human rights. We're talking of human rights. I think the people who should be ensuring human rights, the police and all, they are actually the perpetrators of human rights violations, And imagine the route to Seeker was through Chandigarh. What rubbish is this, And you're right there, I think we're talking about cities and all. What might be the condition in villages and all, I think is anybody's guess. That's the reason why the Dalits and all, the Muslim families and all, they're lynched, they are kicked, they are killed, and the news reaches to us about a week, 10 days later, because no police wants to lodge an FIR because it shows the crime records have gone high. Crime records are increasing in a particular, their jurisdiction
area.
In the area. I think so. See, I think the problem is, I think, we are governing without governance. It seems that we are governing without the Constitution of India and without the Supreme Court and all that. Time that maybe, we all, the work that we're doing, the small work, the tiny work we're doing, we need to be persistent. Like we were persistent here. Similarly, you all are persistent, because that the results show, if anybody of us gives up, I think the work will never be done. That's very clear. So I think for each one of us who are here, the work that we all are doing is very significant, is very important. And I would say from the work that we have done in the homeless, I think it's very clear that until we are persistent, and also I think I use this word, that despite how much heartbreaks we've had with the work, I call myself a diehard optimist. I can't be a pessimist, Despite being surrounded by a whole, I think, ocean of pessimism, I still am a diehard optimist, because if we give up, then there's nobody else to take it up. And so we can never give up. So the issue is ki kuch bhi ho jaye, whatever come may, we will fight it out. We will not leave it. And one thing I've realized here, Rasna and other friends, is like, the people in authority, they abuse you. They call you names. But we were very clear. You abuse us. You call us names. You put us behind bars or whatever. But we are not going to compromise on our issue. Our issue is sacrosanct for us. Until you don't deliver on the issue, our homeless people, you call them names, we'll fight with you on that. You call us names, fair enough. I'm not settling the score here with you. We'll take it up some other time as such. But you have to deliver on the homeless issues as such. You have to deliver on the homeless women's, children's, disabled, all these issues. And that works. That works.
They exactly do it. Like in 2018, I was working as criminal justice fellow with Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. And rather than filing FIR for the kidnapped minor girl from the homeless family who are rag pickers, rather than doing that, the police officer, the CI of our Thana in charge, who is died later on in the gang war, but he filed FIR against me that I am the one who is killing time of the government officer to get this FIR lodged. And I come every day to the Thana. And he filed 2 FIRs against me from different police constables of him.
Yes.
Rather than searching that girl is has come home now after 3 years, and she is in the worst mental state. And she, despite being minor, is the mother of 2 kids. So you can think of the situation. And she is in the seeker shelter house, and the shelter house is in the very bad shape. There is no facility as such.
My God. No. In fact, our friends like Mohammad Tariq and all, who's a TRIS professor, TRIS teacher, through the Koshish work, they were able to get the entire Muzaffarpur scandal out. How the girls were being abused by the politician's husband and the NGO workers and all that. It came out.
That time I was working as a TIS fellow.
Yes, so I think, and because Tariq has been a friend and we have worked together, he's been working begging issues of begging and all. We've been working homelessness. We've collaborated as such. So a lot of significant work has happened. So it's like each one of us. My only thing is that the work that we are doing wherever we are, whether it's a school of Rupinder Garg as a mentor teacher, whether it's Arunaji's work with trans children as such, their own children, or whether it's your work. I think each one, whether it's Vishika's work. Vishika, if you're there, Arun, you're there, you can also share about your work. You do work with migrants and all. And Arjun, you work with people in slums and all. You can share your work as well, or the issues that you face. Anything? Ashu, Syed, you want to add? Please do add. I think your voices are very important. Pranjal and Richa, any other questions?
I just want to say that it was really heartbreaking, and to listen all of this is happening. And I would also like to salute Aruna ma'am
yes,
for handling it so beautifully and guiding a lot of people out there who need their guidance. And I'm sure small contributions will definitely lead to larger outputs someday. Even if we contribute a little from our end, it will definitely show up one day. So it was lovely to hear all of your guidance and your wisdom. This is Wisetalk. And
yes. And Richa, request that there are many friends here. I would request maybe at another time, as Wisetalk, you should have people like Aruna and Rachna and Vishika and all
definitely
to contribute as well. I think they have got so much to contribute. So much.
Yes, definitely. I would really request all the people present here to give us your details, so that in future we can contact you and conduct such sessions for the youth to understand what all is happening in the society. So from the beginning, we can contribute from our end. So my teammate Pranjal will be noting down all the details. If you could share the chat box, we will take a screenshot, and we would love to have your session as well.
Yes, so I think in the time that is there, I would request all of you who want to share your important work, mention your mobile numbers and email IDs into the chat, so that I think Pranjal and the team takes it. And then also, if you have other friends and all who can talk about it, yes, good. Thank you, Arunaji, about the work. Do share, because I think I found this platform of Adore to be very interesting. I think I came across them very accidentally. They approached me for some talk, and this is the 4th time I'm coming again talking here. And this is a forum which I enjoy, talking to the young people. So you also can just talk to them, guide them, and learn from the lessons also. Hannah. Yes, I think good. Yes.
I just want to I have shared my email though already, and I would love to ask Aruna ma'am that I am also working with my co-fellows were working in Patna with the prisoners, and they are actually they have registered their organization as Law Foundation Patna, and they are actually doing remarkable work for the transgender community in prison, because they are like unheard and lodged into trial stage for longer than even permitted by law, because they have nobody to represent their voices. So they are now representing their issues, and they are also demanding separate cells for transgender people and also like separate toilets in the prison. So we were the other day discussing about like why not we have talk with someone who is actually working in this direction, or not specifically on transgenders in prison, but maybe like you are doing. So if you don't mind, I would love to contact through Law Foundation to you for some session, so that will be great exchange of
Sure,
knowledge.
sure. Yeah, sure.
So much.
Yeah, and
I have written my number.
yeah, and by the way, many of you are also in my WhatsApp groups and all. Word Rachna and Arunaji, I think you also exchange notes there as well. Don't worry. And I think Arunaji do support this work of Rachna as well and a team. I think it's important that we all contribute in this. Huh?
Sure.
Yeah. Who is this? Who is this actually? Disturbance there? Oh gosh, there was a lot of disturbance. I don't know from where it came. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who wants to say anything, or we'll conclude the session now?
I think people have said everything. I think we
Yes.
can. Yeah.
Okay, Pranjal, go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful session. And thank you, Aruna ma'am and Rachna ma'am, for interacting and making this session. It's really a wise talk one. And we learned a lot from it because as I belong from a teenage group, so I didn't know that of much going in the country or in the world right now. And I would really felt so good to hear about those things, about human rights and about what's happening around the world. So thank you so much for making this session so interactive, and we would love to contact you in the future. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for coming
Thank you,
here.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Zindabad.
I
Bye-bye.
would request everyone to please fill in the feedback form given in the chat box, and we will be also providing details of Adore in the chat box. So whosoever wants to contact us or want to contact us from that as well.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Adore team, for this excellent thing. And look forward to more exciting sessions with all of you. God bless. Take care. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.